Welcome to a brand new looking. Look how fresh we look. Wow. Massive me, Mr. Bon. We are doing some Year 9 maths today. We're doing Venn diagrams because it says so up there. Look. Ooh, let's go in front of the camera right there. It says Venn diagrams, Thursday the 2nd of April. So looking already, we've got about 5 or 6 people hopefully here. Maybe they just need a reminder about Venn diagrams. We're just going to dive straight into it. Okay, here we go then. So I can now do a flip look. Whoop. There we go. And we're going to do some nice easy drawing Venn diagrams today, making sure we fully label them. So let's just do a quick refresher of what a Venn diagram is. First of all, a Venn diagram is a box. That inside that box is going to be everybody that we need, okay? And what we might have inside boxes are circles like this, and everyone is either going to be in this part of the circle, this part of a circle, this part of a circle, or they'll be outside both circles, but still inside the box. There's going to be nobody outside of the box. Everyone needs to be inside the box. Now the circles are just grouping people together. So for example, over here we might have some boys. So if you are a boy, you would be standing inside this circle. And if you wore glasses, you would stand in this side of the circle. And of course, if you are just like me and you are a boy who wears glasses, you would be standing inside both circles. We would be in this kind of section here. If you were stood in this type of section, you would be a boy still, but you would not be a glasses wearer. If you were over here, you are a glasses wearer, but you can't be a boy. So we're thinking of the females or anyone who does not associate themselves as a boy, but still wears glasses in there. And if you are on the outside, if you are not a boy or you do not wear glasses, you will be outside of the box. You will be in this big floaty area. Okay, that is what a Venn diagram is all about. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to be drawing them today, and we're going to be putting numbers in those sections to represent how many people are in each different section of the Venn diagram. Okay, so let's load up our first question. We'll put it on the screen. Let's just make it a bit bigger first of all so we can read it. It says, people were asked if they were right-handed or left-handed. The group consisted of 30 women and 70 men. 27 women were right-handed and 12 of the men were left-handed. Draw a Venn diagram showing all this information. Okay, so let's just now minimize that a little bit. We'll keep it on screen at the top in case we need to make reference to it. So we need a circle where we're going to put in all the males, and we'll have another circle where we need to put if they're right-handed. Okay, there's no point having a circle for men and a circle for women, because if you're not in one of the circles, you must be in the other one. The circles need to be two things that overlap. Okay, hold on a minute. Someone has just posted me a message because they can't read what it is. Let me just link her in. It should be here in a minute. So we're going to have... No, Ryan, that's a very good question. Okay, let's just put this question on the broadcast. Ryan says, do you have to draw the Venn diagrams with a compass? My answer to that question is no, as long as it's decent, okay? Clearly, this Venn diagram isn't the most accurate. I mean, look at the state of that box and look at the state of these circles. But they should be nice and clear. I don't want any kind of weird-looking stuff kicking around there, Ryan. Okay, great question, though. Thank you very much for that. Right, so here's our two circles that overlap. There must be an overlap in there because we could get them in both groups. And we're going to put over here, so these are going to be the men. And over here, these are going to be, I'll put RH. Okay, so these are going to be men in this circle, right-handers in this circle. In the middle then, this will be men who are right-handed, which means if you're over here, you're going to be a woman, but right-handed. If you're over here, you're going to be a man who's not right-handed, so you're going to be a left-handed man. And if you're outside, that means you don't fit in any circle. So that means you're not a man and you're not right-handed. So you're going to be a left-handed female. Okay, so if we look at this question again, I'm just going to move it on my screen a little bit so I can read it a bit better. It says, people were asked if they were right-handed or left-handed. The group consisted of 30 women and 70 men. 27 of the women were right-handed. Okay, so we can put that number in our diagram now. So we know these 27 people cannot go in this men's section, but they are right-handers. So this is going to be the 27. There are 27 people who are right-handed who are not men. These are the 27 right-handed females. 12 of the men were left-handed. So we need to put 12 people inside the men's circle, but not in the right-handers. So that's going to be 12 there. Okay, so we've still got 2 more numbers to work out, and we'll read the question again and see if we can work out which numbers we need to use. It said the group consisted of 30 women and 70 men. So the men's circle needs to add up to 70. Well, we've already got 12 people. That means there must be 58 people who tick both boxes. They're both a man, and they're right-handed. Okay. Now, all the numbers we know need to add up to 100. It was 100 people. We know we've taken away already 27 women because they were the right-handers, which means the only people missing must be the 3 left-handed women who are going to go on the outside. Now, it's probably worth checking at this point that our numbers in the Venn diagram add up to 100, which they do. Okay. And that's the end. That's the answer to the question. Now, there are other ways of doing that. Okay, we picked men and right-handed people. We could have done something else. We could have had women and right-handed or women and left-handed. It could have been anything. Okay, this is just one of about 4 possible different Venn diagrams that you could have done. Okay, so if you get an answer and it doesn't necessarily look like the answer I've done, you've still got a good chance of getting it right. The numbers shouldn't really ever change. Okay, they just might be in a different position. So, for example, if I do the exact same question again, and we'll change it, we're going to keep it as right-handed people, but we might change the men to women and see how much that would have affected our Venn diagram. Women, right-handed. Okay, so we knew there were 27 right-handed women. So women, right-handed, 27 of those. We know there was 30 women altogether, so there's my 3. We know 12 men were left-handed, so they're not going to go in any part here, so we'll put the 12 on the outside. Okay, which means the rest of the men who are right-handed, but not a woman, obviously, they're going to go here. So our numbers look were 3, 27, 58, and 12, which were the same numbers as before. 3, 27, 58, and 12. Okay, so it doesn't make a difference how you do your Venn diagrams. Can I get them both on screen, perhaps? Okay, as long as we get the right numbers, that's what the your teacher, me, or your examiner is going to be looking for when you do this for real in an exam. Okay, that's question 1 done. So let's move away from question 1 and get into question 2. Example 2 is loading up right now. Ooh, a bit longer this one. Let's see what it says. It's a bit outdated, okay, with the TV programs, or maybe it isn't. I don't know. Well, I do know as a father. I don't know if these are still on the telly, but they used to be. You can change the names of the programs if you really, 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 really want. A group of 50 children were asked if they liked Teletubbies and if they liked Rosie and Jim. 12 children liked Rosie and Jim. 42 of them liked Teletubbies. 8 liked. Draw a Venn diagram showing this information. Okay, so we draw our big box and we're going to draw the 2 circles. So the 2 things we're looking at this time are, do they like Teletubbies? And do they like Rosie and Jim? Okay, now what they might do is they might like just Teletubbies, they might like just Rosie and Jim, they might like both, they might not like any of them. Okay, the question says draw a Venn diagram for this. Now we've got to be careful because it says 12 children like Rosie and Jim, but it doesn't say they only like Rosie and Jim. So we can't put a 12 in here because that means there won't be anyone in here. Okay, if we put people in here later on, it says 8 people liked both. Well, now this says altogether 20 people liked Rosie and Jim. That's not what we want. Okay, the question says only 12 people like Rosie and Jim altogether. So we'll put the 8 in. We know that 8 must go there. There are 8 people, the question says, who liked both Teletubbies and Rosie and Jim. So in order for 12 people altogether to like Rosie and Jim, that means only 4 people like just Rosie and Jim. The same idea with Teletubbies. We know 42 people in the question. It says 42 people like Teletubbies all together. Well, we've already got 8 of them. So if we do 42, take away the 8, we get 34. Okay. Now the question also told us there was 50 people altogether. So if we add what we've got, well, we know the circle's 42. There's no point trying to work them out separately. That's a 42 circle. Add 4. That's 46 people, which means we're missing 4. That means 4 people didn't like Teletubbies or Rosie and Jim. Okay, at the moment we've done our Venn diagram. The next 2 parts of the question is now just trying to pick out the right number from our lovely diagram. Part B, how many children did not like either program? 4. How many children only liked Rosie and Jim? 4. Okay, the trickiest part is getting the numbers in the right place. The moment we've got them in the right place, the question becomes much, much simpler. Okay, just make sure that we are reading questions carefully to say, is this a 4 or is this a 12? Are we talking about the full circle or part of the circle? So because this question said only 12 people like Rosie and Jim, but it doesn't say only Rosie and Jim, that means the full circle needs to add up to 12 and not just that section. Okay? Don't forget, if you have any questions or need to stop me at any point, please leave a little comment there. Okay, I can see we've got about 12 people watching at the moment. That is fine. Make sure that if you are struggling with what I'm saying, or if I go too fast or need me to explain something else, let me know. Right then. Look at this one. Maybe I'll have to put this on to the side. Okay, I'll spin this around so we can get everything in at the same time. Okay, Harry asks 60 people if they play rugby, football and cricket. 8 people play all 3. 17 play rugby and football. 13 play football and cricket. 19 play rugby and cricket. 35 people said they play football. 27 people play cricket. 30 people play rugby. Now I'm going to get this question wrong on purpose first of all. Okay, just to kind of prove the point I was making a second ago. Okay, what lots of people would do in this question incorrectly would be this. They'd draw their box. They'd get their 3 lovely overlapping circles. Nothing wrong with that part. They'd go football, rugby and cricket. And then they'd start putting in the numbers from the question. Okay, so they'd put in 8. 17 people play football and rugby, 17. 13 people play football and cricket, 13. 19 people play these. 35 people play these. 27 play cricket. And 30 people play rugby. Now, clearly, this is wrong. Because if I now add up all these numbers, 35, add 17, add 30, add 13, add 8, add 19, add 27, we've got 149. And the question clearly said there was only 60 people. Okay, so the reason we've gone wrong is because 35 people play football all together. And clearly our football circle does not add up to 35. we just put 35 in the only football section. Okay, so we need to do quite a lot of subtracting as we go along doing this question. We need to think about what we've already got and how much more or how few people need to go in another section in order to get the right answer. And the best way of doing these is always starting at the middle and working our way out of the Venn diagram. Okay, so we've got 1 circle, 2 circles, 3 circles. We've got football, rugby, and cricket. Okay, so the first thing said was 8 people play all 3. So we know that 8 must go in the middle. There's no other way we can put that number in our diagram. Now it says 17 people play rugby and football. So here is the football and rugby overlap. Okay, we call it the intersection. So this all together needs to add up to 17. We've already got 8 people, which means this one needs to be a 9, so that together we now have the 17 people who play rugby and who play football. They're in both circles. 13 people play football and cricket. So here's the football circle, here's the cricket circle. The overlap, the intersection, we need to have 13 people altogether. Well, we've already got 8. So now we need to put a 5. Someone's just, again, sent me a message saying, has the stream started? Yes, it has. I have put it in the link. Okay, some people just not reading Microsoft Teams. Next one. 19 people play rugby and cricket. Here's rugby. Here's cricket. We need that to be 19 people altogether. We've already got 8. We're missing 11 people. Okay. Now the football circle, it says 35 people play football. Now we've already got 20 people. We need 35, so we're missing 15. 27 people play cricket. Well, we've already got 24 people. So 3 people only play cricket. And then the last one, how many people play rugby? 30. And we've already got 28. So we're missing 2. Now, we're not finished yet because we know there's 60 people. So what we now need to do is add up all the numbers. And I've got 53. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 numbers, that's perfect. Okay. 53 people play at least one of the sports, which means 7 people do not play any sport at all. Part A is done. Draw a Venn diagram to show the information we've done. What is the probability that if we pick somebody at random, they don't like any of the sports? Well, 7 people don't like any sports out of the 60 people that we asked. So the answer to part B would be 7 out of 60. Okay? And we have one more example before you can start doing these questions for yourself. Here it comes. On the board. On the screen now. And it's a similar question. A very similar question. It says, Ellie asked 50 people whether they like tea, coffee and milk. And it says all 50 people like at least one drink. Okay, so that means there's going to be no one floating around the outside this time. We'll put a 0 in there, maybe the moment we finish drawing our circles. 19 people like all 3. 16 people like tea and coffee but not milk. 21 people like coffee and milk, but some of them like tea. 24 people like tea and milk, some of them like coffee. 40 people like coffee, but some of those might like the milk and some of them might like tea. 1 person says they only like milk. So it's a very similar question, but they've thrown a few extra words in there just to try and either put us off or try and confuse us somehow. Okay, let's get to it then. Let's draw our nice big box. And we're now going to get our circles going. So we have tea, coffee, and milk. Okay. So, like I said, we know there is nobody on the outside. Okay. So we can put a 0 over there. 19 people like all 3 drinks. 19 people, bang in the middle. 16 people like tea and coffee, but not milk. So this time it is actually telling us what this number is. Okay, it says they like tea, so they need to be inside the tea circle. They like coffee, they need to be inside the coffee circle, but they don't like milk, so they're not part of that 19 at all. So we've got 16 people in that section. 21 people like coffee and milk. There's coffee, sorry, coffee and milk. 21 people like it. Some of those are here in the tea. Well, 19 of them also must like tea. That means we're only missing 2 more people. 24 people like tea and they like milk. Some like coffee. Well, 19 of them like coffee. That means we're missing 5 more people to make up to the 24 section. 40 people like coffee. Well, 16 add 19 is 35. Add 2 is 37. That means 3 people are over here. 1 person said they only like milk. Now, we're almost done. We've still got a big gap over here in the tea section. Okay, but again, we know there are 50 people altogether. Okay, now I was going to use a calculator, but there's a nicer way of doing it. We know this coffee circle, it tells us already there was 40 people there. Okay, the second bottom line of the question, which is about here, said 40 people like coffee. We've got 40 people, 41, 46, still 46. We need 50 people. That means we're missing 4 people who just like tea. Part A, draw a Venn diagram. How many people like tea? 4. Okay, so you must make sure that you read these questions very, very carefully. Some of them can be a bit more wordy than the other ones. For example, this one was a bit more wordy than the previous one. But everything's the same. It's just putting numbers in the right place and just trying to make sure that each section actually adds up to what the question says. It's always worth double checking maybe at the end that your numbers add up to the correct answer or how many it says in the question. And apart from that, I think that's all we need to do. If I now load up the questions that I have asked you to do, put them on the screen. We are doing a drawing of Venn diagrams. Okay, so here we go. Question number 1 said 100 people were asked if they own a pair of Converse shoes and if they own a pair of Nike shoes. Shouldn't be anything tricky with that one. Shouldn't be anything tricky with that one at all. Okay, it's going to be a big circle. They could own both. They could own just one. You've got to put numbers in the right place. Same idea for question 2. They either listen to The Weekend or Bring Me to the Horizon. Sorry, Bring Me to the Horizon. Did I say 2 in there? Again, it's just going to be an overlapping circle. They could listen to both. They might just listen to one. 3, question 3 there looks like it is a 3-circled Venn diagram. Question 4 is as well. And then for question 5, okay, there's nothing more difficult about question 5. You just might need to work out some of the numbers first of all. So for example, it says a group of 40 people were asked what they ate for lunch. 3/4 of the group had a sandwich. Well, 3/4 of 40 is 30. Okay, so it's just doing exactly the same. I think Annika, if I click on her comment from earlier, she said on number 5 we have fractions. Can you do an example of that? I don't think I need to, Annika. Okay, you just need to quickly work out the fractions in advance. So 3/4 you should know is 30. You should be able to work out half of 40. You should be able to work out a quarter of 40. Okay, I don't think there's anything on question 5 there, looking at it, that is any more difficult than the previous questions. Okay. So you've got about half an hour, I would say, to try and get those questions done. I'm not asking for any work in for this lesson. Okay, by now I've got a good idea of who is and who is not doing the work. They can be dealt with by someone else. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, crack on with that work. Okay guys, I'm going to put a 10-minute clock on the stream, and at the end of that 10 minutes I will go through the answers for this, and then we'll be done for the stream. The yellow background. Right, maybe I'll have to quickly go through question 3. Okay, let's shrink this down. What have we got? Apples, bananas and cherries. A group of 80 people were asked if they like different fruit. 38 people said they like apples, 42 like bananas, 14 like cherries. 6 people like all 3 fruits. 20 people like apples and bananas altogether. Apples and bananas, 20 people. We've already got 6. 14 left. 20 people like apples. I don't know. 10 people who like cherries. 10 people who like cherries also like bananas. So altogether we need 10. We've already got 6. This is going to be a 4. 6 people like cherries and apples. But we've already got 6 people, so that means nobody there likes just cherries and apples. Okay. We know 38 people like apples. This needs to be 38. We've got 20. 18 people missing. 42 people like bananas. we've got 24 already, so that's another 18 people missing. And then cherries was 14 people like cherries. Well, we've got 10, we're missing 4. If we add these numbers up, we get 64. There were 80 people altogether. Means we're missing 16. That would be question 3. They should add up to 100 though, Grace, because you're the one who you picked the last one for physics. You should be the one who works out the final missing number. Chemistry, physics. 100 people get asked what subjects they took. 1/5 of them take all 3, so 1/5 of 100, 20. 55 people take maths, we can't fill that in yet. 25 people take chemistry, we can't fill that in yet. 21 people took physics and chemistry. Okay, physics and chemistry, here's the overlap. That's 21 people we need there. Okay, 3 people took just chemistry. 33 people took physics and maths. Physics and maths needs to be 33. We're missing 13 people there. What else do we know? Let's go back now. Chemistry, it says 25 people took chemistry altogether. Well, we've got 24, that needs to be a 1. Maths, there needs to be 55 altogether. We've got 13, 33, 34. What was it? 55. That's going to be 21 people. So to work out how many people took physics, all these numbers need to add up to 100. They must have taken something. 20. Well, that's 55. Well, that's 59. Okay, 59. This must be 41. Okay, so your time is up. Hopefully we've managed to get them done. Let's get rid of these. Let's just shrink this down actually. We'll put it over here. Okay, so your answers for question 1 and question 2 should have looked like this. So it tells us 18 people don't wear any. It tells us 14 people wear both. It tells us 48 people wear Converse. It tells us 100 people altogether. So we can work out how many people we're missing. But in the final one, there's 34 over here. Next one says there's 70 people altogether. It says 32 listen to one thing, 25 listen to another, 10 don't listen to either. So we can work out how many people must be in both. Okay, hopefully those ones weren't too tricky. This was your answer for question 3 and for question 4. I have just gone through both of these, so if you don't understand where any of those numbers have come from, you can just rewatch that part of the stream. It was about 5 minutes ago, and you can see how I've worked out all of those numbers. And then the last question, question 5, was this one here. This was asking about sandwiches, fruit and crisps. Okay, it said a quarter of them had them all. It then said, what else? No, just fruit and crisps. 20 people or half of the people had what was it? Some fruit and that type of stuff. So you should be able to work out the rest of those numbers from there. So 20 people had fruit and a sandwich, but half the people must have fruit. So that must be no one and no one. It told us how many people had sandwiches. Told us how many people had crisps altogether, so we can work out the missing ones. Okay. So that is turning text into Venn diagrams. Tomorrow we're going to kind of be looking at what's called set notation. It uses Venn diagrams, and it asks you to find certain parts of it, but rather than writing it in words, it uses nice little mathematical symbols. So we're going to be looking at those symbols in tomorrow's lessons, things like unions and intersections and complements and things along them type of lines. Okay, so unless there's any more questions, that is the end of the lesson. If you didn't upload your homework yesterday, it was 1 piece out of the 3 pieces. Please make sure that you do. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to do some questions on set notation, and then there'll be an end of topic that is technically going to be your homework to do over Easter, which you would have got normally anyway. And I think that's about it. So like I said, unless there's any more questions, I'm going to stop the stream in a second. Just make sure that if you haven't subscribed, you please do, so I can try and get to 100 nice and quick, and then I can make the YouTube link really, really accessible from this point onwards. Okay. There seems to be no questions in the chat, so if you do have any questions later on, just ask me on Microsoft Teams, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.